Unfortunately, the host was unable to attend at the last minute today, so we will definitely get them back. We were going to have a representative from the Latino Alliance tonight, but unfortunately, something came up, and so I promised we will get them back and get them here hosting. So we're going to be doing this without a host. Jill and Lupe are going to try to help me grab questions off as they come in. I'll be watching the chats also, but multitasking is probably not my strong point, so I've asked them to really help me today. But we did have one question we can lead off with today that came in through our admin sergeant. And the question was, is there any plan on dealing with those unfortunate who live in our community streets, our shelters, programs, rehabilitation? What's the plan? This is actually something that's come up. We've discussed this before. It is a constant issue that we are trying to address within the city. And I will say that one of the things I love about Rohnert Park and how we're addressing this is that we've made it a city issue, not just a public safety issue. And so it's not just the police department or the public safety department trying to address this issue of homelessness. It's the city. And so one of the things we've done is we put together a homeless task force, and it has members from Public Works, Public Safety, City Hall, Housing, Code Enforcement, all working together to try to address these issues that come up with homelessness. We also were able to get started in our city a homeless roundtable, which are actually made up of community members who are also trying to work with the city, but on their own come up with ideas on how to help feed, shelter, and get the resources we need to the homeless population. So we are really trying to get them off the street. We've contracted with Catholic Charities and Host, who come out into our community twice a week, and they're actually making direct contact with the individuals out on the street. A lot of them are from referrals from our officers. And then the host comes out, they meet them, and they start working with them to figure out how can we best help you? What services do you want? And the first thing they try to figure out is, do you want services? Because believe it or not, there are people out in our community right now that at least in the state of mind or in the place they are right now, they don't want services. They would rather live out where they are and be on the street than have services. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but the community, the city is really working hard to address it. I know we're looking, the Roundtable has come up with an idea and working with a church to try to get some showers for our unsheltered, because I don't care if you're unsheltered or not, you deserve to be, have dignity and have the opportunity to take a shower. So we're working to do that. We're working on some sheltering ideas. Where do we put these individuals? Because that's really the issue. I also said that we don't have a homeless problem. We have a lack of homes problem. We don't have places for them, right? And then there's another program that's coming together where people can share rooms, right? If you live in a home and you have a room and it's vacant and you're looking for kind of a roommate, and everything's vetted through, that's another way we're trying to figure out how to get people off the street and into the roof. So we are actually doing a lot to try to address this problem. And there's a lot more to do. So we will keep trying, but I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you, Chief. So it looks like we have a question via chat from Linda Casillas, and this is her question. What do you believe is the biggest misconception about police officers?
Well, I think one of the bigger ones is that we're uncaring. We're just here to do a job. We don't value the public. And it is 100% opposite of that. You cannot get into this line of work, this profession, if you don't have a heart to serve the public. And I know that there have been incidences throughout California and throughout the country that have shown a bad light on officers. And I can't say that every officer is perfect, right? No one's perfect. But I was out walking today, and I just was out going into some of the businesses and just meeting people on the street. And it was amazing how I noticed that if I was walking towards somebody, um, they would almost pull back a little bit because they weren't sure what the encounter was going to be. And I'd walk up and I'd say, "How are you doing today? You know, oh my God, the little one's beautiful. You know, how old is he or she?" And then we'd engage in a conversation, and all of a sudden, that the whole demeanor would change. But there's definitely something there, because you get that, you just that take back just for a second, right? But I think the message I always try to send to people is, one, the officers, every officer is someone's son or daughter. They're a husband or a wife. They're a mother or a father, right? They're often a grandparent. They're you. They're just the ones that chose to put on the uniform and go out and do the job, right? And when we recruit, I say we recruit from the human race. We get our officers from, you're raising our officers, right? So if there's a misconception about an officer, then it's definitely, it's a misconception about the person, because they're just your sons and daughters and brothers and sisters who are doing this job. And we really do wake up in the morning and come to work and wanting to just do a great job for our public and keep them safe. And sometimes we get in bad situations. There are people out there that do things that cause us to come in when things are out of control and try to get them back into control. And it's not always easy. And sometimes it doesn't look great, but the officers are just going there doing their job. They're doing what the best they can to serve you and to serve the public. So I would hope that when people have that misconception or think about it, they ask themselves, why do I have that misconception? I think have a conversation. Have a conversation with an officer, find out who they are. And you'll find out that, on Saturday and Sunday when they're not working, they're in jeans and a t-shirt out in their garden or fixing, the garbage disposal under the sink. I mean, they're just people.
And I think it's important to also, remember what they go through to get their job. They have to go through backgrounds and financial responsibility and, relationships with family members and friends and, various things that they need to go through, plus be able to be successful at an academy and constant testing, and need to be athletic, but a counselor, and, firearms, and there's a lot that goes through it. So they go through a lot to be able to do this job and want to do it to their best of their ability, and, it's important to, recognize the path and how long it does take to become an officer, I think, as well, especially for Rohnert Park with fire, and then there's the whole other element. So, we're unique, and it's important to remember the dual roles that we do and what officers have to go through to be an officer here, public service. Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. This is not a job where you go in and you do an interview and you get the keys to the car and your uniform. I mean, there is such a process, and it is not only a grueling process, but it's a time-consuming process. And you don't go through that process if you're not serious about this profession. I mean, we're going to put you through a test, and then an interview, and sometimes it actually starts with a physical agility test, then a written test, then an interview. And then if you're successful, then you get to start the process of a polygraph, and then a full background, where the background investigator digs deep into your background, and they talk to a lot of people to find out who you are. And then they're going to go through a chief's interview, right? They get to sit down with me for an hour and talk about why they want this job and who they are. And then if they're successful, they still don't get the keys to the car. Then they go to the psychological evaluation. It's about an 8-hour evaluation where you're answering thousands of questions and then doing an interview. And then you do a complete medical. This isn't your run-of-the-mill physical. This is a
head to toe
physical. So, and I mean, just that, getting through that process shows dedication. And if you're not serious about this, you don't go through that. So people who get in this profession, they really have a heart to serve. And I admire that because it's, we ask you, we ask you to, we're looking back in your background and looking, what kind of kid were you in high school? What were you in college? After, and so, we know a lot about you. And so to have a desire to open up your life and let us take a look inside tells me that you're pretty serious about this job.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
Thank you, Linda, for your question. We have another question from Sergio Ortega. Does the city of Rohnert Park have a community emergency response team training for the community?
That is a great question. We do not right now. We do not have a CERT team. We've talked about it, and actually we were talking about it at one of the public meetings just before COVID hit, about putting together a CERT team. It's interesting. Normally, when I'm asked about a CERT team in my previous jobs, I could say, well, yeah, I'll talk to the fire chief, and the fire department will get that going, right? I don't get to do that because we are the fire department. So I get to actually work on putting a CERT team together. But I have been in cities that have had CERT teams. They are a tremendous asset to a city because they give you those extra hands during those times of emergency. We've used our CERT teams in the past to help find missing children. So yes, CERT teams are something that we actually started moving forward on, and then COVID hit and it kind of just put the kibosh on it. But we do want to bring that back, along with our Citizens Academy and those things. So thank you for asking. Keeping it on the forefront of my mind. I appreciate it.
Nice.
Thank you, Chief.
Let's see. We just have a appreciate you message on Facebook right now.
Well, I appreciate everybody who takes the time from 6 to 7 to come on this and listen to me, speak.
That's true.
So while we're looking at to see what other questions are coming in, I will say that there's some pretty special things happening over here. And one of them is the new fire station. So if you're over in the area of Costco and the new hotel over there by Martin, take a look. The fire department it's not ready to open right now, but it's certainly getting close. And we're so excited about that because one of the things we really look at and evaluate as far as a public safety agency is our ability to respond and our response times, right? And so everybody knows who lives in Rohnert Park just how long it takes you to get from one side of 101 to the other side of 101. It's just right. And so you can imagine how the locations of our fire stations as they are right now, when we're going to the west side of 101, just that response, it's a delayed response, right? So being able to open that fire station over on the west side and being able to have apparatus and personnel to respond to the west side from the west side for us is huge. And then the other thing that we are going to with staffing we're going to be getting in is the QRV, which is a quick response vehicle. And you may have seen it kind of driving around town. It's the large pickup camper shell. It's black and red, really sharp looking vehicle. And the idea behind that is to improve our response also and our quickness. And when I got here, I'm like, why are we always driving the big red engine to our medical calls? It just doesn't seem like maybe the right vehicle. And so the QRV is actually going to be more of a medical response vehicle. And you could imagine, especially if you're a semi driver, driving your semi all around town or driving your pickup all around town, how do you get there quicker? So the idea is with that quick response vehicle, and then with the West Side Station, we're really going to take a huge step in how we respond and our ability to respond to fire and medical emergencies.
And when is that set to open? Did you mention that?
I didn't because
Sorry.
no, that's all right. I've heard May, June, April, May, June.
Okay.
And you know, I was told that my house would be ready to move in April, and it's June now. So I just didn't want to. I know how these timelines can change, but you know, it's up. They were doing painting the last time I was over there. It's getting really close. So you know, just if anyone's wondering what they're doing over there, that's our West Side Station being built, Station 3. Yeah.
Very nice.
Great.
Good.
Chief, did you want to talk about the fireworks?
Oh, Lupe. Well, we can talk about the fireworks. I don't know if anyone on here is interested. They can let me know if they're interested in talking about it. But I will say that at the last council meeting, there was a direction and discussion item on the council, and it was whether to continue to having fireworks in the city of Rohnert Park. And the staff report was kind of a three-prong approach. And so what I talked to council about was, you know, do you want to continue having fireworks, or do you want to prohibit them? If we prohibit them, you know, because of the nonprofits and the funding that they get as a result of fireworks sales, you know, it's going to leave a hole. So, you know, do we want to look at trying to work with the nonprofits to help them with their funding? And then if you do ban fireworks, is it do we want to do some kind of a community event to take the place of the, you know, safe and sane fireworks, and you know, do something where all the community can come and either a pyrotechnic show, or you know, watch the Green Music Center fireworks. I don't know. So anyway, those were the three items, and the council did direct me, based on that conversation, to come back to them with a new ordinance which will prohibit safe and sane fireworks or any fireworks in the city. So I'm currently working on that ordinance, and you know, I think it's important for people to know too that was not a vote. That was not a vote to ban fireworks. That was a consensus to bring an ordinance back that has to be voted on and adopted. So the process is I will return to council with the new ordinance, probably in April. And I will present that ordinance to the council. The council will not vote on it that night. I will have to come back 2 weeks later and with that ordinance again, and then that's when council would vote to adopt or not adopt the ordinance. So a lot of people I'm hearing, they're talking about how council voted to ban them. That vote has not taken place yet. And there'll be plenty more discussion. And I would encourage discussion, right? I would encourage people to if they have an opinion, to give that opinion. But what I will ask is that you be polite, and you be respectful, and you be professional. Because I've received numerous emails myself since that meeting, and which is fine. But I know other people who have received them, and you know, they can get kind of personal and nasty. So I think it's important to have your right and to voice your opinion, but I would ask that you do it for, respectful, and understand that everybody has their opinion and everybody's entitled to their opinion. So that's where we are with fireworks right now, and I'm sure no one has any questions about it.
Let's see. No questions coming in from Facebook. Just another person appreciating you. So that's that's good to have.
So much.
Let's see. And looks like we have another comment. Can you tell us about your goals?
I'm figuring for the department is what I'm thinking that's going on.
I would think so.
What's that?
I said, I would think so, based on, yeah, how it's written.
Yeah, I don't think they want to know my personal goals. Retiring healthy, no. Yeah, so we are, since I got here, I walked into a really good situation because the city the city council had just approved a new restaffing and restructuring of the department. So, we looked at that and we've restructured. One of the things we are looking at right now, one of our goals is to figure out some scheduling that just provides even more coverage than we're getting right now. And for the city, as far as like the command staff level. So one of my goals is to try to have a system in place scheduling wise to where we really have a system where there's always lieutenant or above on duty. One of the reasons is because another goal of mine is succession planning. What we've noticed in our department is, and like a lot of departments, is we have a lot of new, 1 to 5 year officers. And then we have another group that's 15 and up. But like a lot of agencies, there's that 5 to 10, 12 year officer who that's the time we see them move in their career. They've got enough, experience under their belt. They're very hireable. They're usually in a different position and they start kind of looking at that move. And so it goes to show that's why we have this big hole between our young officers and our older officers. And because the ones that would now be our 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 year officers, they've gone to other places, and so we really are in a position where when you're starting to see a high seniority group here, you start thinking about retirements and people, ending their careers. You now have to figure out, where am I going to get my future sergeants, my future lieutenants? So one of the goals is succession planning and preparing this new group that's coming in to start taking on some of the roles as the older group retires in a few years. And it's not fair to ask them to do it if we haven't given them the tools to do it. So by looking at spreading out our lieutenants a little bit more, getting more coverage, that is a great way to start teaching this newer group and preparing them to take that next role. If they're always under the tutelage of a lieutenant, we can start preparing those sergeants to take the lieutenant spots and then the officers to take the sergeant spot. So one of the goals is to really strengthen and get in place a good succession planning here. And then one of the short-term goals is, we are staffing wise, we have 2 in the academy right now. We have 6 in the fire academy, and we're getting ready to put a group in a July police academy, right? So short-term goal is to get all this hiring done so that we can get the ranks filled back up. Because if you didn't know, you go to a 5-month police academy, and then when you get done, you come out and you go to a 4-month FTO, field training program, where you are in a vehicle for 4 months with an FTO, field training officer. So really, it takes about 9 months to 10 months to get, once I decide to put someone in the academy, to even get them in their own car, right? So staffing is the timing has to be right for us, and we've got to get these individuals through the academy, through the FTO programs, so that we can start, doing some of the things we want with some of our specialty programs.
So there's a follow-up question to that. Is there youth programs such as Fire/Police Explorers?
So there was an Explorer program here prior to my arrival, and it ended. And we have talked about possibly bringing it back. These talks took place about a year ago. It wasn't the time. At that point, one, it wasn't budgeted, and it wasn't the time. COVID hit. We haven't really discussed it anymore. But you know, there's some things I do want to bring back for sure. I want to bring back the Citizen Academy. I think that's vital for our community to be able to come in here and learn about what we do. And I would love to get an Explorer program going. I just got to make sure it's the right time, and that we have all the people and the processes in place to make that program what it should be for the youth, because that is a great feeder program into a department. If you can get the youth interested, you're starting to raise your own police officers and firefighters right there. So we don't have one right now. It's not on the checklist right now anytime soon, but we would love to get one going at some point. So one of the things that we've talked about in the past too, and we just want to kind of bring it up real quick again, is the issue with the catalytic converters. You know, we definitely know we're still experiencing thefts. You know, I will tell you that since the last talk 2 weeks ago when we talked about it, we have as an agency continued to make arrests. We've continued to find people with catalytic converter in the back of their car with the tools, and we've made the necessary arrests, you know, on them. But like we talked about the last time, the value of those catalytic converters and what's in them is so much bigger and higher than what is happening or what happens to them when we catch them. That the risk, the reward is outweighing the risk right now to them, right, basically. And you know, so they know it's a property crime. They're going to get their hands slapped and they're going to be out of jail, right? So we're still fighting that battle, but we haven't given up on it. But we're really serious about the fact that you know they're out there. It's not going to stop anytime soon. In fact, Jill was telling me today that the information she read was these are not going to stop until the value goes down, until the price of those valued metals go down and these things, and it's not going down anytime soon. So the cops team is doing a great job on it, but they just can't they're not making a huge dent, right? So we really need people to think about going and getting something done, such as the cages welded on there, or one of those systems that can protect it, or at least make it more difficult so that it's not done in a minute, it's done in 5 minutes, which will probably, it's kind of like, what was that thing you used to put on the steering wheel?
The
club. Right? Right? I remember telling someone, well, you should get the club, and they go, well, people can dismantle those, you know, they just spray the Freon in them and hit them with a hammer and they go. I said, yeah, but here's the deal. If your car has a club on it and the car next to it doesn't, they're probably going to go to the car next to it. They take the path of least resistance. So, you know, seriously, especially if you have a Prius, seriously think about doing something to protect that thing under there. And Jill, I know you've gotten inundated with information on this.
Well, yeah, gonna say on a national level, it's just not here. It's just not California. It's something that the National Insurance Crime Bureaus put out stats that are pretty staggering. And there are numerous states. California wasn't listed, but numerous states are looking at changing legislation to increase penalties for this, because the loss to the victim is pretty significant. And so it would be interesting to kind of see what moves forward with that, and if it's something that then California would adopt in other states. But there's a really large list of states who are looking to take action on it. On that side, is just to make it a deterrent, kind of bring that deterrence level up where it needs to be. So these stop happening. So it is, and kind of what you were saying, again, what they recommend is what we've been recommending, is trying to get your vehicle in a secure location, close to better lighting, put car alarms on with, vibration detectors, at least, make that so that, you're drawing attention to your vehicle if someone's trying to, tamper with it. So those types of things we're going to have to kind of do right now. So it doesn't make it really any better, but it certainly makes us understand that it's not just us and that it's being addressed on a national level. And so hopefully something will come of that, and we'll deter those folks from targeting these converters.
Thanks,
Perfect.
Jill. So Chief, we have another question from Facebook. Question comment. Thank you for these ongoing opportunities to chat with you. My question is, illegal fireworks continue to be a concern for many. What can be done proactively to stop them at their source? And what can citizens do to help?
Yes. So, I don't want anybody to believe that if banning safe and sane fireworks in the city of Rohnert Park is not going to stop illegal fireworks, right? We know that, and we know that a lot of communities who have banned them, still deal with the issue of illegal fireworks. So I can tell you that there are two bills moving through. One is moving through. It's an assembly bill by Assemblyman Jim Frazier. And one of the things that bill is trying to do is stiffen penalties and also address the fireworks that are coming into our state, right? That be stronger at our borders, be stronger with postal services, be stronger with delivery services, and trying to prevent them from coming into the state, but also increasing the penalties if you're caught with them. So that's one bill. And then there's a Senate bill going through, and it's sponsored by Archuleta, and it's much the same thing, really trying to raise the fines to up to $10,000 if you're caught with illegal fireworks. So those are two ways, at least the two bills that are going through, that might give us a little bit of help as when we catch somebody, but they're not going to be in place this year. One of the things we need is, we really need the community to help us. I was telling someone, I think earlier today, I said, there's Rohnert Park, let's just say on any July 4th, there's 60,000 people in our community, right? And I have probably, when we're out really doing our major fireworks work out there, even though it's all hands on deck, I have people who have to work the next day. So we have a certain number. So let's say I have 30 or 35 officers actually out there to address those 60,000 people, right? We can't be everywhere at once, right? Even if we pick neighborhoods, we cannot, I don't have enough officers to have one in each neighborhood. So we get the calls. We got over 620 calls last year from that short period from, I think it's 8 o'clock July 3rd till 3 o'clock July 5th. Over 620 calls for service, or calls in a dispatch. We responded to over 430 calls for service that night. And we wrote, I believe, 26 tickets for illegal fireworks. So it shows you we're missing a lot of them. We just can't get there, right? And part of that is because, especially last year, those fireworks shows, those safe and sane fireworks shows, had moved so far out in the streets. And even the ones that were on the sidewalk, there's so many people that it's really hard for us to get through the city and navigate it to get to those. But if your neighbor is shooting off fireworks, illegal fireworks, and it's enough for you to call us, it's enough for you to call and say, my neighbor's shooting off illegal fireworks, then I'm hoping at some point it starts to be enough for you to be willing to be a witness, and we will cite them. I will personally drive over their house and write a $1,000 ticket. But when we put the social host ordinance in 2019, the reason we did that was because prior to doing that, my officer had to actually see you light the firework. They had to witness you actually lighting it. And that's almost impossible because these, these citizens who decide that they need to use illegal fireworks, they don't do them when we're there. They do them when we're not there. So actually seeing someone do it is really hard. So we put the social host ordinance in that says, I don't have to see you light the firework anymore. I just have to see where it came from. And if it came from your front yard or your backyard, or you walked from your front yard out in the street and lit it, guess what? You're getting a cite. The house is getting a citation. Whoever owns that home is getting a citation because you're now responsible for the things that are going on. So that's how we went, and we've written almost 90 sites in the last 2 years, but we're still missing some. So I really need the public to help. If we're going to actually put a dent in fireworks, we need to let our neighbors know that it's unacceptable, right? I know we're neighbors, we live next together, but you know what? It's unacceptable that you're shooting these mortars or these bottle rockets up in the sky and they're landing on my roof. And when I'm sleeping at 2 o'clock in the morning and that thing's been smoldering for 4 hours and my house catches on fire, that does affect me. So I want you to have a great Independence Day, but I want you to know if you're lighting off illegal fireworks, I will call the police and I will sign the citation. That is hard to do. I know it. I know I'm asking a lot. But at some point, we've got to get to that point to where it is just unacceptable to do it. And you have to reach that point. And I can't tell you when that point is. You have to reach it. But that's the only way we're going to turn this tide is if neighbors are watching out for neighbors and neighbors are holding each other responsible, right? And then I know Jill and I had a discussion today on Ring cameras. And so one of the things we're going to look into is there's a program where you can share video with the police. Jill's my tech person on that, but we're gonna try to figure out and see if we can make it easier for you to share that information with us without maybe putting yourself out there so much and having to, say I signed the ticket. So we are working on a couple things, but the plan is also to put some of our own cameras around the city, especially in areas where I know we've had problems in the past. And if I see you on camera lighting fireworks, I'll ride out and cite you in. So it's $1,000. I would hope that's enough of a deterrent, but we'll see. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Chief. So there's another question. Does the city use drones?
Oh, I've tried to get a drone the last 2 years in the budget. I haven't been successful yet. So we are trying to get a drone and a drone program going. And right now what we're looking at doing is we're looking at using a drone to do our major crime scene reconstruction and our major accident reconstruction. It does the diagramming for us. They're pretty amazing. And we've seen a program. So we are trying to get that for that purpose. The regulations are pretty tight right now on drones and using drones for law enforcement purposes. And so I don't have one. If I was able to, I'd send that thing up on 4th of July and I just watch, do it. But we don't have it right now. And there's a lot of regulations, a lot of training that goes along with it. So it's in the future. That would be, I think, Ms. Ortega asked the question about goals earlier. So I would say that is a goal to get a drone program up and running in the city. But it's just got to be the right time and we've got to be able to get the budget for it. But what I will say is if people, I'm not asking you to go out and do anything but if people have video of a criminal act that they believe the police department should know about, we're always going to look at it and see if it rises to a crime and whether what we see on the video, we can move forward and do something about. So I will say that.
Jill, do we have any questions from
We don't have anything
from
new
Facebook?
coming in from Facebook, and I think we're okay there. The one thing that I thought that maybe we had a lot of conversation in some of the prior chats were related to traffic. And so I didn't know if Chief, you had any kind of an update from traffic as far as enforcement and some of the areas that have been, brought up in other chats that people wanted extra enforcement, and if you had any updates related to traffic within the city that we had some issues on with.
Yeah, so I do want to make sure everybody knows that even after the last chat, I received additional emails from people saying, hey, they're speeding on this street, speeding on that street. And I want to assure you that when I come in the next morning, those all do get forwarded right to Sergeant Jared Marshall, who is the traffic sergeant, and to Motor Officer Lee Cooper, who is the motor officer. So, and the thing is I have my radio going in here, except when I'm on this, but I hear the radio and I can hear them going out to those locations and making stops. So I do want to assure you that your complaints and your concerns are not falling on deaf ears. And we take them seriously, and we do try to get out there. One of the other things we're starting to incorporate in just the patrol division, because our traffic unit is pretty small, is the officers are now going to start doing an hour a day of dedicated traffic in their beat. And normally they're patrolling, they're out there being proactive looking, but what we're asking them to do is just, hey, let's not put the whole burden of traffic on the traffic unit. And when you have a chance, now sometimes they're busy, they're running from call to call, they're doing follow-up, they've got report writing. So we understand that it's not gonna be every day, right? But what we're asking is, hey, when you have some downtime, find out where these hotspots are, find out where these complaints are coming in, and go out and just do a dedicated hour of just traffic enforcement, whether it's a stop sign or a crosswalk. I think we've gotten a little bit complacent with school being out. And, so we're not used to seeing kids in the crosswalks and kids at the crossings. And so we really need to have a really strong presence out there right now, because the kids are coming back at some point in the near future. And, we just got to make sure that we're driving in a safe manner that we were prior to COVID, because what the studies have shown is since during COVID, speeds have increased on our roads. Early on with COVID, there were less traffic on the road, so it was easier for people to go faster. And so we really need to have a heavy presence out there with our traffic, just to make sure we get those speeds down, so that when the kids get back in school and they're crossing Snyder there, near Southwest, that it's safe for them.
Okay, Chief, so we have a couple more questions. Little bit of follow-up to what you just discussed. What about speed bumps in areas where people race? Specifically, let's see, go to K section, there's no stop signs, 50 miles per hour is average on Kingwood Road.
What road is that? I'm sorry.
Kingwood Road.
Okay. Yeah, so there's been a question I've gotten for 30 years about speed bumps. Speed bumps do one of two things. Speed bumps will slow. The person who wrote that would probably be the person who slows for a speed bump, because they follow the rules anyway and they don't speed. So when they see a speed bump, they'll slow for it so their car doesn't bounce up and crash the bottom of it. The other thing speed bumps do is, for the people who speed, the philosophy of them is that if you hit it fast enough, you won't feel it. So speed bumps can actually increase speed sometimes. And so what we do is, whenever we get a request for speed bumps or dips, that goes over to our development services, to our engineers, and they do the studies and they determine whether a speed bump is or dip is necessary there. One of the things I will say is that you know, and we're not having the problem with the sideshows right now that some are, but these are some of the ideas that some cities are looking at now to try to address those issues. So I think that the conversation of speed bumps and dips and you know, I don't even know what they're called. You know, the parking lots when you pull in, your tire hits the front, and putting those little dividers out in there to try to stop some of that. It's interesting that actually we're now looking at those things again as a traffic calming device. So I'm not saying speed bumps are out of the question, but we at the Public Safety Department don't have any say in whether it goes. That's all done through our traffic engineering and engineering department.
So we have another comment from Facebook. Eric Matson responded to my SOS from G Park. Thank you. Hotspot for traffic is Dawn and Santa Dorotea. They run the stop sign. Can the officer look into this? Thank you.
Yep. Absolutely. We will. And this is great information, because this is how I get it to the traffic sergeant. He always loves Wednesday morning because he knows he's going to come just a big old load of emails from the chief saying, "Yep, traffic issue, traffic issue, traffic issue." So if he's watching right now, he'll probably call me and tell me that don't send emails. He already wrote them down.
Oh, looks like.
And as far as the Eric Matson comment, yes, that was Eric does a fine job out there, and you're one of our sergeants here, so thank you for recognizing that. So it's really interesting, and you know, we talked today about, you know, because we lost our host at the last minute, about why, you know, I think we can get this done and we can do it, but I guess having the host bring some of the questions, I guess I didn't realize that how many questions they brought in, because I don't really know what's coming from where, but yeah, we'll definitely have a host back. I think we got two great hosts today, but they're still trying to multitask. But you know, I hope that these chat with the chief, these talks are worth your time. And I know we talk a lot about the same issues come up, which tells me that those are the same issues. Those are the issues we got to deal with, right? And traffic's always going to be one. I used to tell people, we'd have a community meeting, and we'd call people in, have a big community meeting, and afterwards the officers were so surprised, because they thought, oh, we're going to talk about, gangs, and we're going to talk about, shootings, and we're going to talk about drugs, right? All these big issues. And we'd get there, and it would be traffic concerns on their street, right? It could be garbage cans not being put away, so blight issues. It could be some homeless issues. But they'd walk away and they're like, I thought we talked about this. And it's like, to the average person, that's not the problem. That's not what's bothering them, right? The people driving around with drugs in their car isn't affecting them. What's affecting them is that their kids can't go out in the front yard and play because there's speeding vehicles on the street, right? So sometimes having these discussions really helps bring our focus back to what is important to you. Because if we police what is important to us, right? We're out there thinking we need to take the guns off the street. We need to take the drugs off the street. So those are the things that are the big things for us. But having the conversations, really let us know. No, it's the community who we serve wants us to slow traffic down, right? They want to be able to park their car and not have their that converter thing stolen. Catalytic converter.
Catalytic.
I should have known it. I hear it 10 times a day, so So I appreciate being able to communicate with all of you and hear what is important to you, because as Ms. Ortega earlier asked about our goals, our main goal is to serve our community in the way that the community wants to be served. And if your priorities are slow people down and help the homeless and protect our catalytic converters, and then that's really what, when we're out there, we should be looking for. We're not going to ignore the other stuff. We can't do that, but we should really be understanding that our public really wants traffic. They want to see us out there making traffic stops. They don't want to be stopped, but they want to see us making stops, right? So again, I really appreciate everybody who takes the time out of their day to spend an hour listening to me chat. Do we
So
have any more questions?
we have a couple of comments. The first one from Nikki Bannister: would love info on how to volunteer to host a chat with you. Thank you for hosting this one yourselves. Happy face.
So
go
as
ahead.
Jill does, she'll put my email up,
Okay.
and you can just email me. And there's no criteria for host. It's not like you have to own a business or you have to do this. It's like, I want members of the community feel like they can come on and host one of these things. So if you email me, I'll get you the information on how to get you signed up.
And Linda Casillas says, these chats are great. Please keep up the good work and stay safe.
We will, and thank you. That is the goal of every one of the officers in this building. They want to come here, they want to serve the public, they want to take care of you, and then they want to go home safe at the end of their shift to their families, because they have spouses and children, and so that's our goal. We go into every call with the idea that we need to handle this so that everybody walks away safe and sound. And so, by listening to the officers and just following their directions, they will get you through the situation. I promise you. And everybody, we will have good outcomes. That's what we want. All right. Well,
I don't see
I
any other
hate
questions.
I hate to shortchange everybody, but there's no more questions. I guess we can call it a night. People get to dinner 5 minutes early. Oh, and yeah, real quick on that. Just I think I'm hoping everybody see with moving into the red tier, their lives opening up just a little bit more. I am so excited about actually going in and sitting in a restaurant and having dinner with my wife and my daughter. I can't wait to do that. And I walked through today. I was walking out and visiting some of the businesses and restaurants, and some are already offering it. Some of them are just saying we're going to start Friday or Saturday because we're trying to get our staff. They haven't been serving inside so long. They've got to get it ready. So, hopefully you'll have the opportunity to just get into a restaurant and have your life open up a little bit. But I would encourage you to make sure, you're still staying safe, wear your masks, social distance when you're not with immediate family, because we see the numbers going down. We don't want to see them going back up. I really do think we're at the end of this thing and we're looking good, but just stay safe, but truly enjoy what is opening up a little bit for us now. And hopefully you'll be able to get out with the family and have a nice dinner, lunch, brunch, breakfast, and kind of remember what it was before COVID. So that is all I've got tonight. Thank you so much for joining. And I will see you in 2 weeks, which is what, Jill?
It's April 6th.
April 6th.
Yeah, a little further out. So yeah.
Yeah, you get a break from it for a while. But the other thing is you don't have to wait for the chat to send questions in. You can send those anytime to Mike Worley, to myself, and we'll just hold them for the next chat. And if you have questions after this, please let me know. And I always try to get the answer, and we try to post it back on Facebook so everybody can see what the question answer was. So, all right. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.